will take her up on it.
What a big one.
My birthday.
Make sure, there's a lot of stuff up there for you. The Athletic Association was nice enough to provide cookies and some other goodies and so please make sure we get rid of that after. I would like to welcome everyone to the 2003 Spring Awards Banquet. I would like to thank the student athletes, parents, and coaches for attending this evening. It was another successful season, not just for baseball, softball, but this kind of brings an end to another year of Chazy sports. And overall, I feel it was a very successful season. Special thanks to the Chazy Athletic Association for everything they do, the trophies, the flags, the money they raise, the refreshments. Mr. Blair, Mr. Perry is not here, but all the help he does throughout the year on our fields and in the gym. He is a big help for everybody. I'd like to thank Hometown Cable for always supporting Chazy Athletics. Tim LaPointe, the bus driver. And a really special thanks. They are not here this evening, but for the students, if you get a chance, when you see Mrs. Martin, the secretary in the office, and Mrs. Vesco, you got to think and thank them for all they do. You see them at every soccer game, every basketball game, almost every baseball, softball game. They donate their own time to do the concession stand. And when we get new uniforms, we just got new basketball uniforms for the boys and girls. And a lot of the money that went towards that was raised by them, and the other part by the Athletic Association. So they do that on their own time for us. The only other thing I'd like to say before we move on is just some common courtesy tonight, and when people are speaking, please listen. We have had a couple problems with that in the past. It is nice to speak and not be interrupted or not have to worry about someone out there. So that would be greatly appreciated. The order of events, modified boys, which is me, will start tonight. Then we'll have Mrs. McAfee with the modified softball team, Mr. Brandell with varsity boys baseball, Mrs. Lambert with varsity girls, a couple more announcements, and then we will be out of here probably in a quick fashion, unless anybody has a problem. All right? So I will begin with the modified baseball. Now, this is my third year of doing modified baseball, and I've had an enjoyable year every year, but this year for me personally was the most fun I've had coaching in a long time. I go from varsity basketball, which can be a stressful sport, very competitive all the time, to modified baseball, where, believe me, we were very competitive. Some more thanks to Joey Trombley and all of the youth baseball and softball coaches. I was dealt a pretty good hand this year with the 7th graders I had coming up. Didn't have to do a lot of coaching this year. Kids were pretty good. They've been well taught, and that is greatly appreciated. I told my kids all year long that I truthfully believe this group of kids, when they move up through, will win some sectional championships in baseball. We went 7-2 this year. We didn't play one game, and I'm pretty sure if we would have played that game, it would have been a win. The 2 games we lost to Crown Point, I believe 11-6, and Willsboro 10-5. But if you didn't know, we had 23 boys on the modified baseball team this year. And I made a promise to everybody on my team that every kid would play at least 2 innings for home games. And every kid would go to at least 2 away games. And not one kid complained all year. It was very limited innings, but nobody complained. Figure that out. And I thank all the boys for that. A lot of times if I ran late for a practice, the boys would start practice on their own. They would handle things. To give you an idea, this year, I mean, some people understand baseball, softball a little more than others who follow it. But to give you an idea, we played approximately 63 innings this year of baseball. Our pitchers, pitching is the key to baseball, a lot like softball. If you have a good pitcher, you're going to be pretty successful. This year we had 8 good pitchers. Not all of them got to pitch in games. But like I said, to give you an idea, in 63 innings this year, our pitchers struck out 97 people and only walked 42, which is a very good ratio. And to get back to the Crown Point story, playing 23 kids at home is tough. When we went to Crown Point, I only brought 13 or 14 kids, and I buried the kids I brought. We beat Crown Point 10-2. We beat Willsboro down there. They beat us here 11-7. We beat them 24-4 in Willsboro. So we had a great team this year. And getting back to having a lot of fun here, I see one guy out there already smiling and kind of blushing. He knows what's coming. We'll hold off a minute. Screw Lake this year, I had Mr. Trombley down there, and he went down. The fastest pitcher we faced this year was from Screw Lake. Very good pitcher, threw a lot of strikes. Probably one of the better pitchers I saw on any level. And our kids in the 2nd inning this year, we had 22 batters go up to the plate in 1 inning. We had some kids bat 3 times in the same inning. We scored 16 runs and had 14 legitimate hits in 1 inning. This group of boys, I'm telling you, parents, follow this group of boys coming up through. They're going to be very successful, every one of them. Now, to get to a story, Andrew Goodwin. We'll start with Andrew this year. He was very excited to think of the possibility of Andrew moving up to varsity baseball at the end of the year. And I told him, I said, well, I'll let you start today, and how you do, I will go report to Mr. Brandell. I don't know if this was the same game where we were down in Westport, and you were pitching, and you were throwing exceptionally hard. And I told Andrew to throw a curveball. He threw it over the backstop and hit a dog. So he looked at his eye and slipped at him. All right. So I gave him the, told him to throw another one. If the dog would have been in the same place, it would have killed the dog again. Over the backstop. So Kenny came up and said, make sure you remember that story about Andrew. But if I coached for 30 years in Chazy, my all-time favorite story happened this year. A lot of people already know about it. And hopefully nobody will get too offended. If they do, I apologize, but it's all in good fun. We were down in Crown Point, and Andrew, who was pitching? Nolan Ryan was pitching, and Jacob Beeman was catching, so Jacob was warming him up quite a ways, down the 3rd baseline. And the umpire came over and said, Coach, your players properly equipped? I said, yep, they're all set. Jewelry off, yep. Are your bats legal? Yeah, bats are legal. Helmet, yeah, we're all set. And he said, Coach, does your catcher have a cup on it? I said, yeah, make sure the catcher has a cup on it. And Jacob's down the line, maybe 25, 30, 40 feet, I don't know. So I think Jacob heard the word cup. So the next thing, the umpire kind of looks at me and says, does he have a 1-piece helmet on? The new style helmet, you need 1 piece. So I said, yeah, he does. So the umpire yells down the line to Jacob Beeman. He says, Jacob, or he says, catch. Y'all set? So the umpire, catch, you all set? So Jacob, not being bashful at all, looks at the umpire and kind of gives him one of these. Oh, and that's not the end of it. So the umpire says, catch, you all set down there? So Jacob, honest to God, if he would have asked one more time, I'm pretty sure Jake would have been. So like I said, if I coach for 30 years, I will always remember Jason Beeman, who has the new nickname of Cupper. Cupper forever. Without further ado, I'll call the boys who are up here. I'll say a little bit about, and to give you an idea, we were 7-2 this year with 23 kids. We had 2 ninth graders on the team, to give you an idea of how good we're going to be on the team. Stephen LeBumbar, come on up, please. Galen Child, please. Jonah Curtin. Jacob David. Nick Levine. Taylor Juno. Barry Latchmore. Nick Boyer. Andrew Goodwin, Wild Thing. Jordan Spiegel. Kenny Boyer. Casey Trombley. We have a couple more. Kyle Fountain. And this guy, I had a story about this guy too as a 7th grader. For all the baseball people out there, before a game as a coach, you have to go up and hand the other coach and the umpire your roster for the day. And when I would bring this guy's name up as my pitcher, nobody ever believed it. Nolan Ryan. This year, as a 7th grader, I think led the team in wins, probably had 4 of our pitching wins. One game, I think he struck out, like somebody might have came in and relieved, but struck out 12 and didn't walk anybody. Great potential for Nolan. And the 2 ninth graders. I am going to be sad to see this one guy go. The funniest kid on the team, always made me laugh, never got mad at him. My 2 captains, kind of, like I said, this year a lot of times some of the boys would forget to bring stuff out, so this guy said, next time you 7th graders forget, I'm bringing you my laundry tomorrow. So, Jeremy Latchmore, I'm going to miss you on my life. And the other 9th grader who I've had for 3 years on modified baseball, who's playing pony baseball for Mr. Brandell, and I'm guessing we'll move right into a spot on the varsity baseball team. One of the team leaders in hitting, just captain and leader of our team, 9th grader Chazy. And that is the 2003 modified baseball team. Thank you. We will now have Mrs. Max speak about the girls modified softball.
each of the girls up who are here. Jesse Blake.
Mr. Henry, people helping me in the summer, we will expect to do better than we have. But if we don't, we still have the high standards that hopefully we're working towards this year. So that being the case, Pony League, we have a lot of fun. You know, we had our first scrimmage the other night, and it was a blast. Probably, and I had a good time just talking about the children, the students out there playing, and I look forward to all the games this summer. I don't know if my future wife is. I want to thank some of the same people, Mr. Norcross, Mr. Blair, all the parents, especially going down to Cooperstown, Stanford, and everybody else who helped the program in some small way. Mr. Perry, the Athletic Association, who actually provided things for this trip to Stanford. I was debating whether we would do the trip to Stanford. Many of you probably don't know, Stanford is downstate, and they're traditionally in Class B, the top 10 in the state. They've been to the state finals, big baseball stadium down there, and I knew with our inexperience this year it would be difficult, but we decided to make the trip, and I still think, although we lost both games, that we gained some valuable experience from it. But that trip next year is going to be more difficult because I've been told there's no funding at all for that trip, so I would expect and hope that the Athletic Association can help us out, and may have to expect more money as students about going down to Stanford. But I think if we want to move to the next level, we have to continue some of these things. This year was a very challenging year. 2-7 was our record, 2-9 overall. We'd get on the bus at an away game, and I'd come in, and we just lost. We gave up 16 runs, 8 errors. We kicked the ball around, sometimes literally. And I'd come on, and there's Mr. Norcross coming onto the bus. 16 strikeouts, 1 walk, 24 hits, and geez, we just couldn't do anything wrong today. But it really did make me feel good knowing that we have people coming up that are so committed to baseball. The past 2 years I've done Pony League, and we've struggled, some of the guys who play for me. Are we going to have 9 tonight? I have to call. I call in the summer and make sure I get 9 players for a game. This year, our first game, we had 15 people there. So hopefully things will change, as I've said before. I think our team showed a lot of sportsmanship. Probably the person who was the most heated and most controversial during the season was me. As I told him, that's my job to talk to the umpire. Right? We saw some umpiring that left a little bit to be desired. That's probably why I got restricted to this one particular game. But these things are going to happen, and I think that's part of baseball. And I still believe that our guys, our varsity team, went out to win every time. And that's what I want to see. Some positives: there's a lot of younger players on the team who know the game. If you follow baseball, it's important to know the game. I quiz them all the time on the rules. What's the infield fly rule? Okay? What happens when you drop the 3rd strike and there's a man on first and there's 2 outs? What can you do? I want our guys to know this. In fact, it's funny, sometimes we watch some other teams that may be a little bit more athletically talented. In case in point would be the Wilbur game. Fly ball to right field in foul territory. Player catches it, and our guy tags and goes home, which you can do. And he starts turning around and arguing with the umpire. It's a foul ball. Geez, it's a varsity level. If you don't know that, then you're in big trouble. But I think if we do know the game, make things easier for us in the future. Well, I guess I have a big question next to sectional game. This year was probably the thing that bothered me the most in a lot of years of coaching is whether to go to sectionals or not. And I made the decision that we would go. And what turned out was that Nick Sprague pitched an outstanding game. We had an overall good effort, and we were very respectable. So I look at that as a positive going into next year, although we didn't win the game. So some things that we did during the course of the year. We talked about using the batting cage. I think some of these guys might have been sick of seeing me come in during lunch and say, hey, that batting cage is open. I'm down there. The pitching machine. I'm down. So hopefully I've increased the enthusiasm enthusiasm to play the game. Okay? So, without any further ado, I'll go to some of our players. When I call your name, could you please come up here? First player is an 8th grader called up to play third base, second base, and hopefully can play anywhere eventually for me. He wants to pitch a little bit. He'll probably grow a lot, and I hope he does. Adam Green. Okay, the second player, a 10th grader, Kyle Baker. Next, somebody I'm going to expect to help me a lot this summer in Pony League. We're very disappointed because his birthday falls on such a date that he cannot pitch. He'll be 16 before August, which is the cutoff for Pony League pitching. But he knows the rules. He's an umpire. He knows the game. Baseball is very important to him. And I hope he can continue to have success. We'll have a lot of pitching for him next year. Nick Sprague. One of my part-time Vermonters. I say that because we're always worried if he's going to make a practice or game because he's somewhere in Vermont. But I hope this gentleman plays this summer, and he also knows the game. He and his brother are big Expo fans, along with his dad, and we need that type of enthusiasm. Zach Burrow. This is my favorite guy to clean the bus in particular times. Always in a good mood, willing to learn. And once he got those contacts this year, I see a big improvement. Sam Meehan. He's an 11th grader, first time playing baseball, and that really had to teach him, well, first time in a long while, for a long while. I guess he stopped playing when, what, back when Frederick broke your arm or something like that? So we kept back and he away from the team this year. And so, started out slowly, and I saw a lot of improvement as the year went on. And I think if he puts his mind to it from the get-go next year, he could really be a helper in the outfield. David Russell. This guy has played for me for 3 years now, and what I remember about him is he's going to be, if you try to throw a fastball against him high, he's going to hit it. Throw it outside or low, and he might miss it, but he can hit that fastball inside. And he's really improved over the last 3 years, and he knows the game, and I appreciate his effort. You look here. Guy started pitching this year for the first time as a 12th grader. And I nicknamed him Rubber Arm because I asked him to throw 155 pitches one weekend. 155 or 60 pitches. How's your arm? Perfect. Great. Okay. Never iced his arm, never complained about it, but if when I needed him to go in, he could just go in and throw. Really appreciated his effort this year. Really worked hard at the game. Really tells you can take yourself from a mediocre position and not playing a lot, and he played every game. Tom Nelson. Another first-year player for me as a 12th grader. Always attentive on the bench, knows the game, a smart person, and I could tell he really was a baseball fan when we went to Cooperstown. Really looking over a lot of the memorabilia. I'm very interested in the history of the game. And whenever I needed somebody to do something, coach first base, always right there, never complained. I think he enjoyed the effort and the had Charles Mckinnon. A lot of first-year 12th graders. This gentleman had a good knack for hitting, very raw, and a lot of 12th graders who haven't played for a while, it's a lot of just natural ability without knowing a lot of the technique. And I think if he had played a lot more, would have been much more skilled by the 12th grade. But great effort this year as a 12th grader, Pat. The next guy is from the Czech Republic. And I don't know if they have a lot of baseball in the Czech Republic. But for not really ever being around the game at the varsity level, in fact, when we're playing teams like Crown Point, where David Potter throws the ball 86, 88 miles an hour, you really got to pay attention to what you're doing. Very athletic, picked up very quickly. Now, you know, people who come from another country come onto baseball. It's probably the most difficult game to acclimate yourself to, and especially the rules. I say this because I believe Mr. Norcross was down at our game against Elizabethtown, and you got that helmet on, and you're up at the plate, and you make contact. Sometimes you can't hear what's going on. It's hard to find the ball. You just start running. So Adam hits the ball out to the outfield, and the player comes in, runs in, and catches it, and he's standing on first base. He's standing on first base. And I don't know what it is. Okay, Adam, get off of first base. But really learned a lot about the game. Like, once again, wish I had him for 5, 6 years from 7th grade, but had a nice effort for us this year. Adam Burke. Okay, very important to have somebody to keep a quality book for your baseball team. Because for myself, I like to know errors, unearned runs, and statistics are important to the game. They're not the only thing, but it's important to have statistics that you base a lot of your decisions on. And this year, Atlanta Parent was very helpful, very accurate in keeping the books. Anybody who's done it before, it can be very challenging. She kept pitch count for me. I want to know how many pitches are pitches through. I want to know unearned runs. That means you have to know the game. And she knows the game. And I'm probably going to be, she's going to be most missed of everybody here who's graduated. She can come up here and voice the Atlanta Parent. My two captains are left, and I'll start with the junior, Jeff Krywanzik. First team all NBAC this year, batted .440, only struck out 3 times. I take responsibility for the last strikeout. I take responsibility for that. I mean, this guy is a legitimate hitter. I've been around baseball a lot of time. He can hit the ball. He hits it on the line. He's got a great swing. He's got power. He can hit the opposite field. He's a hitter. He's top notch. And his last plate appearance against Elizabethtown, I jog by and say, hey, go ahead and have one. Go out, I want him to go out and tattoo the ball. Don't be afraid to swing, right? What does he do? Call third strike instead. Maybe I planted the wrong seed instead. But never swung out of bounds. But a workhorse as a pitcher for me, doesn't throw hard, but he can throw a forkball, he can throw a curveball. He's always around the plate. Just a real competitor. If you start a team, whatever team, I don't care if it's a tennis team, you want this guy in the team because he wants to improve, he wants to win. Jeff Krywanzik. Oh, we kept Josh for last. Second team all NBAC. Some would say Josh is unreliable. Some would be very true. But baseball is very important to him. I believe that he really loves the game. I think he's missing it. He talked to me about not being able to play anymore. And he's a solid ball player. Was my catcher. He caught every game. He was in the lineup every game. And it's somebody you want a catcher who's going to be there all the time for you. And I know he's had his problems being on time at school, not going to certain events when he should. And I talked to him about that. He's going to be in the real world. He's going to have to make adjustments. But as baseball goes, if he dedicates whatever he's doing like he did in baseball, it'll be okay. Josh Thoreau. So, that's it for me, and we'll see you next year. We will now have Mrs. Lambert come up and speak about the varsity softball.
I heard a comment the other day about a professional sports team. And this team didn't do well because of money they could pay their players or how much, got lost here, or the publicity they received. I know that my girls don't get paid and we don't get a lot of publicity, but they did come together as a team as this professional team did. And I have to say that this group of girls, among all that I've coached in 5 years, played with the most heart. I coached the same group 3 years ago, and we were undefeated as a modified team. And they came back as a varsity team, and I thought, we're going to do well. And we lost our first game by a lot. Okay, try the second game. We lost quite a lot. And so we tried to figure out what were our errors, where are we making mistakes. And this group of girls didn't give up. We said, all right, we can do this. We're going to win. And we came back to win our next 5 in a row. Then we lost one again, 11-1 to Crown Point, which ended up being a very tough team for us. And this group of girls said, we're going to beat them tomorrow, the next day. I thought, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? We went to the batting cage, talked about errors, and they got focused, and they worked together. And we ended up beating Crown Point that next day, 7-6, which was a huge win for us. And then we continued to do well. We didn't have the errors that we had at the beginning of the season. We depended on each other for improving. If one day one of the players did well batting and the next day she didn't do as well, somebody else came up and did that well. Or if we didn't do well in fielding, one day that person came up, stepped up to the plate and did well fielding. And so the group of girls worked together very, very well. So the end of the season, it's a hard one for me. But they played with heart. For the first time in a long time, this group, or any group of varsity girls, won a first sectional game, which was impressive because we had to go down to E-Town, which was a hard place for us to play. We had lost to them. We didn't play a second game against them. And we were losing by 8-5. In the top of the 7th, we were at our last bat. And I remember some of the senior girls saying, this is it, guys. If we don't win, we're done. And I sat up there thinking, they've got a great pitcher on their team. I don't know if we're going to make it. And we counted on mistakes, our hitting, stealing, anything we could do. And we came back to win that game. And it was the best feeling in the world, not the win, but the fact that they didn't get against team. And that was such a wonderful thing. We happened to not win our second sectional game, but to go to that semifinal game, having beaten E-Town and going to Crown Point, and we only lost by 2, was not a bad thing for us because we did improve. We worked together. I'm going to talk about the girls that are here. I'd like to say first a little bit about our seniors, Harmony and Lauren, and Miss Flo. Harmony and Lauren I've coached for 5 years. That's a long time to be with the same group of girls, especially with these two. Just kidding. Harmony always played outfield when she was on varsity. Sometimes, occasionally, I guess I should say, she would play as pitcher. And we needed a pitcher. Harmony said, oh, okay, I'll do it if you can't find anybody else. And so I'd say, Harmony, you're starting. And she'd get up there and she'd do her best, and then I'd switch in Bethany. But Harmony always kept us happy, in a good mood. She'd make silly comments on the field. We knew exactly what we needed to do when Harmony said, it's time to work. So I'd like to have Harmony come up now. nice job at many places. Lauren didn't like to play outfield. She always said, "Why are you putting me out there? I want to play second base, first base, shortstop, anywhere." And I used to say to Lauren, "You can throw home." And she said, "Okay, I'll play home." And so Lauren did a wonderful job of playing outfield. Did a great job of pumping us up before games. She always made sure we had our equipment. And just, she was a great girl to coach. So, Lauren, come on up. Flo was her first year playing, and again, she's an exchange student. Didn't know where first base was for pretty much the first half of the season. She would say, she'd hit the ball and say, "Now where do I go?" Well, go that way. And she was a breath of fresh air to our whole team. She made us laugh, and she was pumped up, and never let anybody get down on themselves. So, it was Flo. Megan, I think she nearly threw her arm out this year. Megan loves to catch, but by the end of the season, she said, "Can't you put me in the field so someone can hit at me?" Megan was our only catcher, and so she had to step up to the plate and really do a nice job for us. Megan's a hard worker. You can't ask more of her, and her bat helped us out in many, many games. Megan was second team NBA senior. Miss Abby at third base. She has so much talent in that little body of hers. She's such a hard thrower that sometimes Kristen or whoever was going to catch would say, "Don't throw it hard, don't throw it hard," because Abby is such a good thrower. And Abby did a great job adjusting with different pitchers. She could hit a triple in any game. And she was also a second team NBA. Whitney did an excellent job at second base, a place that she'd never played before. But Whitney didn't have a lot of fear. And she took after Leah, who I'm sorry is not here tonight, in that Whitney liked to do what Leah did, which was to dive for the ball. Whitney thought that was kind of fun to try to go after anything that came in her area. And so maybe she'll be a shortstop one day. Kristen did an excellent job at first base. She learned how to stretch, and as the season progressed, she did a great job at that. She was very positive and encouraging, especially to our pitchers when they got down. Miss Carissa. Poor Carissa was the 8th batter, and I used to like to keep the kids in the same batting order. And Carissa used to get up to bat, and then other coach would always say, "Oh, 8th batter, easy out." And then Carissa would hit a triple. Or Carissa would hit a double. And as the year went on, season went on, Carissa learned how to adjust. She did a great job of stealing. She's got a lot of speed on her. And I'll tell a quick story about Carissa. She gets to be the story girl today. Carissa stayed after practice one day and wanted me to hit to her. So I hit to her and hit to her and hit to her for 20 minutes. And I finally said, "Are you tired yet?" She said, "Nope, I'm not going home until you tell me I'm done." So I kept hitting to her and hitting to her. I said, "Are you tired yet?" "Nope, not until you tell me I'm done." So after about 25, 30 minutes, I finally said, "Carissa, you have to go home now. I need to go home." And that was the kind of kid that Carissa was. She would work wherever she was, in any outfield position. That's Carissa. Our last two players are both outfielders. Miss Sonia did an excellent job of playing left or right field. Very, very fast on the bases. Sonia had a lot of speed, and she also did very well at batting. And I'll see her next year. to thank Mr. LaPointe, Mr. Norcross, and all of the parents for all their support. And I'd like to mention, as honorable mentions for MBAC, was Lauren Locke as well. And the first team, another first team person was Bethany Frederick, who couldn't be here tonight. And another honorable mention went to the other group. Thank you.
I'm going to try to say this without crying like I did at basketball, but I've known Miss Lambert for 5 years. She's coached me for 5 years, and every year it gets more interesting and just find out a little bit more something about her, and it's been great. And Harmony and I will miss you dearly, and we love you. You're a role model, you're a friend, you're a coach, everything. We'll miss you very much. And we just want to thank Mr. Norcross, Mr. Randall, Mr. McAfee for helping us out. The boys were never coming to one of our home games, and all the parents that came to our games to support us, thank you. Harmony and I will miss everyone, and thank you.
It's already been mentioned, we have some first team All-Stars, but we would like to recognize them with a trophy donated by the Athletic Association.
BAC Boys Baseball First Team All-Star 2002-2003, Jeff Brett.
And again, Bethany Frederick was the first team All-Star, did not be here tonight.
Another first team person is Harmony Simpson.
As the one nice thing, the soccer banquet is usually about 8 hours. The basketball banquet is maybe 2 hours, and the baseball banquet usually is 1 hour, so we're right on schedule this year. Couple things, again, guys, get the food and soda. Also, with only, for most of you guys, only 2 days left of school, if you have a uniform that has not been turned in, I say this at every banquet, I need everybody's uniform. So you have 2 days to do it.